Hey folks, Nomo here. Welcome back. Sometimes the things we expect to happen because they're designed that way don't really work out as planned. Let's look at the village of Indiantown as an example. Remember the design phase? Utopia, grand plans, and independence from the reigns of the awful Martin County. Whole lot of money and political capital was spent to form a new municipal government so the people could be served better. All the while, the idea was for those who had large capital investments and land holdings in the area to be able to rapidly develop their land and do it with far fewer restrictions from government. Things were not moving fast enough for them, so they had to grease the wheels a bit to get things moving. Remember that? The Indiantown Independence Movement. Promises of grandeur and streets that drain themselves, parks, roads, buggy trails, and government light. It was designed to make Indiantown a place of overnight increases in standards of living for all, especially the downtrodden and the oppressed. Well, that was nearly 5 years ago. Now look at it. What has the council done? Well, the council's elected a manager that was involved with a major FBI scandal in 2010 through 2015, the same manager that brings in Brotherhood consultants that work directly with his own personal municipal consulting firm for finder's fees and other considerations. Some of these consultants have racial scandals of their own in Orlando. The manager himself is a social justice advocate from the School of Progressive Socialism. The same manager that does not have to drink the water, drive the flooded and potholed roads, or shop here. Why? Well, he's not required to live here to run the place. He's 2 county away. A manager that's climbed in the heads of some council members, and he's using them like a bad scene from the Children of the Corn. Why do we say that? Well, priorities are the reason. You see, in life, our outcomes reflect our actions, and our actions are generally a reflection of our priorities. So let's take a look together at how outcome has stacked up with priority. Here is a list of 5 things the people of the village can use. These were top priority of the initial effort to incorporate as well. We've all been reminded about the countless hours and dollars spent making sure this whole thing worked, right? Or did it? Let's take a look. How about number 1, roads and drainage? I think we would all agree, I'm sure, that there are some real issues with the water runoff in Indiantown. We can also agree that there are a lot of holes that need to be filled too, I'm sure. A couple years ago, an initial micro asphalt had been placed over a small portion of the roads just weeks prior to the last election cycle. It served as the best campaign sign for an incumbent that she could get. This was a wasted taxpayer expenditure that did nothing but make things look pretty and give the incumbents a chance to declare their fitness for office. See what I've done for you? It was more a ploy that wasted tax money and did very little to improve the roads than anything else. Sure was visible, though. Now we have a $2 million federal grant that's repairing roads in the next up for re-election incumbents area. While the timing seems very convenient, there can be no argument the road work was needed. Where's the next improvement, though, and when is it planned? Next election? Meanwhile, the village could have spent a whole lot on roads and nothing on consultants, commissions, and soapboxes had they never considered the fire rescue. Ask yourself, who has the most to gain from the outcome of removing Martin County Fire Rescue? Is it you? All of this while we, the people, continue to fight to prevent the number 1 priority of the council from being replacing fire rescue with a less effective and more expensive service. Why should you have to fight your own elected to do what is in your interest? The actions of 4 of the council do not match the priority unless you are in it for yourself and see opportunity for strengthening a base or a personal bank account. I mean, who's telling them that this is a good idea? Or maybe they think that the experts know more about what the people want and need than the people do. Sound familiar? Lines like, well, we've been listening to staff and we've been told by experts. So while you scream for roads and drainage, they're wasting your time, your money, and your attention on something that's not even on the top 50 list right now. Why? Number 2. The water plant. The water plant needs $20 million in repair work just to be capable of handling what it should be able to already handle. Why did the village pay $500,000 over market value for it? It's limping along with only one of three pumps working and no failover for the old worn out pump that's in service. When it quits like it did a few short weeks ago on a Sunday, well, you will see another outage and boil order like before. Hopefully, it will come back up next time like it did this last. Not only that, the system doesn't have enough pressure to supply water for a large fire if there was one. Then you look and you see that there is no tanker truck in the plan for fire rescue changes. So where are these so-called experts? Who is saving? With savings like that, you might as well be broke. We see the outcomes, so what's the priority? Oh, and the fire hydrants attached to the under-pressured water system? Well, more are inoperable than operable, but you still have Anthony, Guyton, and Janet all screaming about how the experts know better and that fire rescue is somehow a priority. All the while, your water system that fire trucks need cannot handle it without a tanker truck for backup. Where, again, is the priority? Number 3, additional housing. Well, with early information about proposed projects, the rents start well above the median income in this market. That was before material shortage and inflationary pressures from the White House. Several months back, the low end is estimated to be at around $1,800 per month. Affordable? For who? So who are they looking out for? You or someone with more money? Sad too, the first attempt at it's going to take out a micro oak hammock of rare environmentally sensitive lands. It'll be placed in a residential area that's completely incompatible with as well. Another developer here in town, it's already greasing the skids behind the scene, wants to put in 850 more homes. They'll bound Indian wood on 2 sides, and this group has left their calling card at the door already. The large portion of land north of Indian Wood that was scorched for over 2 weeks, causing respiratory issues for the neighbors smack dab in the middle of pollen season, well, it's theirs. If that is not enough, they destroyed an eagle's nest in the process as well. But hey, they promise to be the best neighbors to the hood you've ever seen. Priorities? Number 4, retail and commercial. Where there is a plan for a tractor supply to go in at 609 and 710. At least it's coming in front of the PZA now. Some 18 oak trees that line 710 will need to be eliminated as a starter. It's the same land that has what are said to be Indian burial mounds on them. That's right, recent Indian burial mounds. Will anybody care to look? All 15 or so of the jobs the standalone store might create will be low-paying retail sector jobs, and most of the upper-level jobs will be brought in from the outside. It'll also create a great deal of unwanted traffic and outsiders, not to mention the unwanted urban environmental impact that is not in keeping with the rural atmosphere of Indiantown. It does demonstrate the scorched earth effort, though, to radically transform the village. For what? And for who? Besides, we already have all the services that a Tractor Supply furnishes. What is the rush to displace the locals and bring in the big box stores? I guess we're supposed to be like the rest of South Florida, huh? Nothing unique here, folks. How about trying that old hometown feel and enlisting the Chamber of Commerce for a little help on the insights of the needs of the existing small business owners that are struggling to serve the market before you lop their heads off and bring in Tire Kingdoms, Publix, CVS, and Tractor Supplies. Way to look out for the locals, gang. I bet if the manager and a couple of the council members actually lived in the boundary of the village, they might think differently. Number 5, reduction in government. One of the top priorities of the Founding Fathers, as they are so over the top referred to, was, in their own words, government light. You now have 25 plus full-time and employees and a large pool of consultants being paid to create more work for themselves at your expense. The idea was supposed to be benefit for the people, less government, including code enforcement, more freedom to do what the people wanted to do. No one asked for a central Politburo of elitists to run our day-to-day world. There's enough in the mix already without the immature and corrupt crew in charge making things worse. The angst and blood pressures are culminating in what is sure to be a well-orchestrated and combined financial effort this election cycle to make sure that 2 of the incumbents are removed and the other fully supported. If Howard Brown is not gone by then, we feel confident he will be gone after the next election. You see, walking on the backs of church groups for PR stunts and paving is not going to work this time for young progressive clad candidates. Your actions have shown your priorities. Many within are already combining and enlisting attorneys to assist in the possible abolishment and dissolution of the village altogether. For those that think that's not possible, well, see you in the morning, sleep tight. Currently, less than $300,000 of the village's revenue outside of grants come from residential rooftop taxes. You've heard certain council members crying that $300K was not enough to do anything with. It was too small and there was nothing that could be done with so little money. Oh, they feel they're owed more because of their racial heritage. Well, tick off FP&L and that's all you'll have left. I bet if they gave you and I $300K though, we could find things that need repaired in town. How about we start with new pumps for the water plant, then connect the loop so we get some real pressure and fresher water. Estimates are the cost of that is $2 million. Well, the council said it would take 1.8 the first year to start fire rescue and 6.5 the following year. Wow, that's over $8 million. So scrap fire rescue and use that money. Now, add $300K to it a year from the county and you actually have more than you started with. Amazing, isn't it? You found the money for fire rescue. Now find it for the real needs. Oh, and one last note before we leave. We'd like to address a question that was raised by Guyton Stone at the last Council Sandbox Playtime get-together. He said that he was no longer able to remain quiet and had to ask Councilwoman Gibbs Thomas which crew she was supporting, the county commission or the council? Wow. Here again, folks, priorities. You see, he didn't say the people of Indiantown. No, he made enemy of the commission and cast Susan from the sandbox of the council. Given Miss Gibbs Thomas is serving the people, neither of your derogatory assumptions, sir, are correct. Why? Well, to begin with, as you and your council crew have demonstrated many times over, you do not include her as part of your little clique. We are sure she wears that as a badge of honor, though. Second, your priority is seriously skewed if you think that her loyalty should lie with the council and not the people. Whose side are you on, Guyton? We know most people do not like protest, strong actions, or even controversy. At some point, though, someone has to shout. But those shouting can't be expected to carry the ball over the line alone for you. We all still have to participate. It's part of being an American. It's part of what's really missing today. We can, however, affect our local world. You have to make your feelings known, whether it's with a Hallmark greeting card, a letter, an email, a protest sign, and a bullhorn. This is your home. You have to protect it from those that want to take it from you. Get informed. Get involved. Be counted. Stand with your neighbor on common ground and be heard. Tell the council to get their priority in line with yours, or you can sit back and get ready to go for a ride to wherever they want to take you. We have a feeling, though, you're not going to like the ending if you give away your freedoms and let others' greed and corruption guide your future. So until next time, stand by.